Today we will discuss youth mental health in the LGBTQ plus community, including suicide risk, suicide warning signs, and the importance of psychoeducation in every community. Joining us today are Ayani Aguayo and Naomi Cannon, who are part of the Yes Institute organization, with a mission to prevent suicide and ensure the healthy development of all youth through powerful communication and education on gender and orientation. This is your host, Michelle, and you're listening to the Mindfull podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mindfull podcast. Today we have Ayani and Naomi, correct? Welcome. Yeah. How are you ladies doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Good. Thank you for driving in Florida. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself so I don't mess it up. Okay?
Sure. So, hi, my name is Ayani Aguayo, and I am the Community Engagement Manager with Yes Institute.
Hi, I'm Naomi Canning. I am part of the advisory board at Yes, and I am a proud mom of a transgender son.
Nice. Well, welcome again. Thanks for allowing me to have this interview. Okay. It's going to be a great conversation. I would like to start by introducing your organization, the Yes Institute. What is the mission?
Sure. So the mission is to prevent youth suicide by leading powerful dialogues on gender orientation and communication. And I know that's a mouthful. It's a pretty amazing mission and vision that we have to create healthy individuals that live free of violence, suicide, and discrimination. But essentially, how we do this is by leading trainings and presentations in every industry, particularly on the conversations and topics of gender and orientation. And by doing so, we provide adults in every sector to give their clients, their patients, their students new tools to be able to understand them and relate to them.
Yeah.
So that's part of what we do.
I love it.
Yeah.
When I was actually doing my master's degree, our professor made an extra credit assignment to go to one of your presentations. And that's how I got to know Yes Institute, and I loved it, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned you guys deal with suicide. Mm-hmm. I know it's the second leading cause of death amongst youth, specifically LGBTQ plus community. Mm-hmm. How do you address that as an organization?
Sure. So the way that we go into discussing youth suicide is through the lens of gender and orientation. What we found out after the pandemic is that for lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth in Florida specifically, 1 in 4 will attempt suicide. And nationwide for the trans and non-binary community, it's 1 in 3, which is far higher than the national average. National average for heterosexual young people is less than 5% that attempt. Okay. So we know it's higher. And the reason we know it's higher is because of rejection and other factors as well as homelessness and a lack of understanding or awareness around gender and orientation, right? So one of the things that we do at our organization is if parents or families don't understand and simply have never understood what their child is going through, they call us. And first thing we do is we set up a family meeting just to get a better understanding of what they're going through, right? And we set up a family meeting with our staff, with people who have been there, who have the tools and knowledge to say, this is how we got through it. This is my coming out experience and what your child may be going through. And it really just lowers the anxiety. It helps everyone understand this isn't so scary and isn't so different. And that's what we do with the organization is we try to erase the us versus them dynamic. We leave room for mistakes and we ask vulnerably questions that may be scary to ask in a larger place. So
yeah. And that's very important because sometimes parents can be lost and they don't really know how to deal with this issue. I'm sure you can relate, right?
Yeah, for sure. My son came out when he was 11 as trans, and over the years, unfortunately, he has suffered from suicidal ideations and had to deal with that over the years, and it's scary, and you feel alone. And Yes has always been there for us to help with education and support and other programs out there to help support him through those hard times.
Yeah. I can't imagine being 11 and coming out and having that difficult conversation. And I'm sure the support of the Yes Institute was very important for you. And they're still very important to you. Now, suicide in a school setting. I see that a lot, right? I work at a school, and it could be very impactful, and percentages are high, more than people would think. How do you provide resources or help within the school community to the LGBTQ plus community, or in regards to suicide?
No, absolutely. What Yes Institute does so incredibly well is that we partner with the public school systems as well as private, faith-based, every single school community to be able and provide training. So we go in and we lead presentations so that the teachers, parents, administrators have a better understanding of what gender and orientation is at its foundation, what unconscious bias is, to help us be aware of maybe how we're speaking, what's in our classroom, what's in the space, the physical, the representation, and how to better relate to our students, right? So just being able to do that already changes the dynamic. And then, of course, when students ask for us to be in there, then we also come in. And it doesn't just, some after school clubs have asked us. We've been at mental health fairs, and that makes a difference because they know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Like Naomi said, that's one of the biggest things, is to know as a parent, as a child, I'm not alone in this world, and understanding who I am.
Yeah, that you have that support. Very important. Do you see a difference after you go to those schools and provide that service? Do you get feedback from anybody?
We do. We have had teachers that have come up to us and said that they never understood what binary, non-binary meant. They didn't understand why their students had buttons that had pronouns.
Okay.
And because they didn't know any different, they didn't know how to relate, and everyone gets scared. Not everyone, but a lot of the teachers got scared. I'm scared of making a mistake, so therefore I won't try. And how that unfortunately occurs to some of our teenagers and young people is, this person doesn't see me.
Yeah, they don't get it.
They don't get it.
Me.
They don't get me. Exactly. And you
They're
see
very
that.
personal.
Very. It's, oh my gosh, you're attacking me. Like, wait, no, it's not that.
I'm not. I just really don't know how to address it.
Exactly.
Please teach me.
Exactly. And that's what we talk about with teachers. And as soon as we give them permission to get curious and ask questions, the walls come down. I didn't know I could ask is usually the first thing that we get asked. Okay, I don't know what this means. And we remind them, please ask them. I don't know what this means. Can you help me understand? And immediately, I remember specifically a gym teacher in Broward County who is like, I'm just here to teach basketball. I don't understand. Like, can you help me?
It's above my pay grade.
This is like, I don't, why? I just want them to play and have fun. And, so it's one of those like, okay, if you can just call them by this pronoun, I know it's difficult, and just really understand and relate to gender differently. It's not us telling them, it's really enrolling on how does gender affect you? And that's what we do at Yes Institute. We don't come in to try and tell folks what to do. On the contrary, we remind them that gender impacts us all. So when the adults get that, when they understand how gender impacts them in their day-to-day life, they understand what their student is going through or their child. And all of a sudden it's different.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Enlightening. As a parent, how can we identify symptoms of high risk of suicide?
So I think one of the big things that I was able to identify is when I can see when Ryan's having a harder time. He withdraws. It's almost like in his face, you could see that he's just not there, not present, not socializing with his friends, just really withdrawing into life. And that, to me, when I start seeing those behaviors, then it helps me to maybe put a little extra effort in, make sure he's seeing his doctors, making sure he's communicating, and giving him resources to help get out of that funk.
Yeah. Does he usually express himself when he's feeling down, or?
I don't have that child that expresses themselves. He pulls it inward. Okay. And so I guess there's different types, all kids have their own personality. Mine just goes inside, and then I have to identify it and see it. He won't tell me how he's feeling, unfortunately. I think it would be easier if he flew off the handle and exploded. At least I would know there's something going on.
Yeah.
But no.
So it's very important for you to be able to recognize these signs.
Yeah, watching almost sometimes too much, that I'm watching every little nuance of his behaviors to make sure that he is in a good place.
Yeah. And there's a difference between a bad day and then being really down.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have to mean, I'm sure at this point you're like an expert.
Listen, I tell them all the time, I can read you better than you can read yourself.
Exactly.
I know what's going on before you know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
God, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
When it comes to suicide,
Mm-hmm.
do you agree that it correlates with bullying, maybe in the school? Have you seen? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, over the years, Ryan's definitely been bullied and not understood, not seen for who he is, used the wrong pronouns. So, and all of that is makes it harder to be who you are. And when that is, then you feel alone. And when you feel alone, you withdraw, right? And then it's like almost a vicious circle, right? And we spiral down. And so definitely bullying and is a huge piece in youth suicide.
Yeah. Do you see that amongst most of your cases that come to Yes Institute?
We do. We see that with some of our youth that come in and are active in our Youth Advisory Leadership Council. They share all the time the stories of what happens with their schools when they're unable to use the restrooms or when they're scared to use the restrooms for their safety. So there's a physical aspect of being treated differently. And then exactly like Naomi was saying, then you get into your head and it just from there spirals out.
Yeah.
And they're looking for support. They're looking for adults that are trusted. They're looking for administrators. They're looking for genuinely bathrooms, you know, spaces that are spaces for them where they can
that
just
could be
be free.
safe. What are some hidden struggles that kids may face that could lead to them being bullied, in your opinion, or what you've seen?
From what I've seen, a hidden struggle includes them trying to figure out what to wear, them figuring out how to express themselves freely and bravely so that they can be their authentic selves without the whiplash of the community or their own peers attacking them.
Yeah.
You know, it could be anything from dyeing their hair to changing their hair, from being effeminate, expressing themselves, or more masculine. And really, it's just, does it align with what the world says they're supposed to be? And if it doesn't, that's where they get scared,
Yeah.
you know.
What about in regards to your son? What are some
hidden struggles? Are definitely pronouns and expression of himself. So, you know, in the early days when he, you know, today he does pass. That means he looks on the outside the gender that he sees himself as. But when he didn't, you know, when it was, you know, he had just come out at 11 and he looked like a little girl, you know. So and people use the wrong pronouns. He used to describe it as like somebody putting a knife in his back. They didn't see him. And even his dad and I, like, we didn't even understand. Like, even we used the wrong pronouns at the even for the first 2 years before we changed his pronouns. So it's a hidden struggle. You think, oh, it's just a pronoun, right? What? But it is everything. It's how they're seen by the outside world, that they're seen by the outside world the way that they feel inside. But I definitely agree with hair, nails, clothing. I mean, all of those external pieces, it becomes a big struggle, whether it's the school accepting it, whether it's the parents, you know, supporting those changes, whether it's your boy wanting to wear nail polish, right, or lipstick, right? It's all of that outside, you know, how people see you.
Yeah. I feel like now the painting the nails is more acceptable with Bad Bunny and all the rappers doing it. But I get what you're saying. If it doesn't go with the norm of society and they want to try to do something different, that it could be a definite struggle. It's a struggle for us in general. Try to do anything that goes against the norm.
Exactly.
It's the basic human reaction, right? Society's going to go against you. So.
But even in the workplace for the youth, right? There's rules. They get jobs, right? And boys aren't allowed to wear nail polish and girls are, right? Or boys aren't allowed to have their hair below their collar. Like, all of those things are things that we're seeing today, right? Every day in the workplace. For us, more adults, you know, we can, I guess, deal with it a little bit more. But with the youth, they don't see that. Like, why can I not? Why can't I? My son just dealt with it right this week with nail polish on his nails after Halloween, that his workplace asked him to remove it. But for the girls, they can wear nail polish. It was very interesting.
Well, we grew up in a different generation, right, where we didn't really, not that we didn't have a voice, but it was like very black and white. They're growing in a different different generations. So
Yeah.
they don't get like the opposition from our generation. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Get up to date, you know? So I think that's where the big gap is, you know, just how we were all raised differently. But eventually they're going to be the majority. So I feel like we're going to have to adapt, right? Like, live and let live. Get over it. When it comes to bullying, 70% of all youth report having experienced bullying directly or indirectly. And I think you kind of went through this a little bit. But how does Yes Institute help within the community and schools to address this issue?
Sure. We actually lead a course, and it is called a course called Bullying.
Okay.
And we go into the schools. We do this with PTAs, with any group that says these are the behaviors that we're experiencing, right? And what we do is we also flip the script to better understand all aspects of it, so as to not make wrong a person who showing the bullying behaviors.
Okay.
I'm just being a little careful with the words on purpose because we don't want to demonize them either.
Okay.
And understand the multifacetedness of bullying in general, right? Someone who is receiving and giving, how can we make sure both have the tools and the support that they need? How can we break it down even deeper, right?
Yeah. A lot of people focus on the kid being bullied, but the bullier, I'm sure, has issues as well. So you're trying to address both ways, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. How would you
All of it.
address the bullier? Am I saying that right? Bullier?
The
Sounds
person
weird.
that exhibits bullying behaviors, that's what we say, but that's a mouthful.
Okay. Bullier sounds better. It's nice,
Yeah, that's
sweet,
shorter.
sweet and short.
So one of the things that we do is just really unpack like why, where it comes from and what's going on a deeper level. But that's also where we rely on our counselors, our therapists to come in and partner and say, okay, what's happening, as well as the entire community, because it takes a village. Where the parents seeing at home, exhibiting at home, what's happening in the schools, what is being exhibited there, right? So I know for many of our youth, they experience both having bullied and been the bullier. And usually what happens, what I've seen at least in the community and for myself as well, is being in the closet versus being out and being ourselves. When being in the closet, I'm bullying the person who is being their authentic self because they have what I want. And I feel powerless. Projection, exactly.
Yeah.
And then those, once they come out, experience it. So not always that way,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely fascinating to have that. At least that's my personal experience. And I can say for a couple of my teenagers, that has been theirs.
Yeah. In my experience, sometimes when I get, not the severe bullying cases, but, you know, he called me this or she called me that. Once you sit them all down and do a peer mediation and you let them know how your words are hurting the other person, the majority get it. They just kind of like say it loosely, all these terms, because it's funny and everybody thinks it's funny. But once they realize, or I make them realize, it's not funny, and they see that the other person is really affected by it, I'm glad to see that most of, at least my kids, feel remorse and they feel bad and they change behaviors and sometimes even become friends and the support in the school. So I think psychoeducational materials and presentations like the ones you do are so important, especially in the school community. But yes, it starts at home. So education to parents too. Call Yes Institute.
Yeah, exactly. We provide mediation as well.
Yeah.
And in the schools.
I also went after going through some of the classes that Yes on gender. It's like putting negative connotation to like just slurs, right?
Yeah.
And growing up, when I did, you know, saying things that you would like, oh, it's so gay, right?
Yeah.
Which like that's a negative connotation.
Yeah,
to
I still say it sometimes. It's
Right.
like engraved in us, and I have to correct myself. Be like, no, that doesn't even mean what I'm trying to say. It's like a saying,
Right, but
yeah.
to somebody who is, right?
Exactly.
How do they feel?
Yeah.
Or don't throw like a girl.
Yeah.
Like
I don't even like that, and I'm a girl.
Right.
I'm like, what does weak have to do with women? We give
Exactly.
birth. We can take more than you guys. So I don't understand.
Yeah. Or just the fact that people think that women are weak.
Exactly.
Just that. That's all part of like this gender. Like, and And that's where I really, I've been to a lot of the trainings of Yes, and that's really what I take that away. And or you sit in a restaurant and they come over and say, girls or ladies, like I'm a person, like
Ladies first.
It's just sometimes like it's like not, it's just this negative connotation of gender in either way. It just is not necessary, and people feel that as bullying, right, when they're hearing it, and that they're sensitive to those comments.
Yeah. Do you feel this generation is a little bit more sensitive with those subjects just because they're more sensitive, or because they're growing with a different mentality and mindset and knowledge of all of this?
Yeah, I don't think it's the sensitive, right? Because then it's like we're like saying, oh, you're weak, right? Because you find this annoying, but maybe they're like enlightening the world to love, right?
Yeah.
And acceptance, like that we maybe didn't have when we were younger, right? We didn't accept people. We did say these negative things, right? But I always say that Ryan made me a much better person because he opened my eyes to just that people are people. And I was ignorant to that before. I was always open, but I was ignorant.
Or you
open.
thought you were open.
Right, exactly.
and then you had to live through it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is another level of openness.
Right, exactly. So he made me such a better person by giving me an opportunity to experience and to open and to love. So I think that they just love people better, or different than we did when we were younger.
Definitely more acceptance. They have a lot more acceptance than our generation. And you could see that. We talked about suicide. We talked about bullying and the programs that you offer to the schools. Now, I know teachers, administration, and staff in general, there's a lack of training just for them. Do you agree, disagree? Is there anything being done specifically to train people how to deal with the LGBTQ plus community and in regards to suicide and bullying?
We definitely see that every time we go into the spaces, be it a classroom or the teacher planning day, we're asked to come in and immediately hear, thank you for being here. We don't hear this enough. Or thank you for sharing these tools and resources because they're lacking, right? So parents, I think it was a couple of weeks ago for Mental Health Awareness, International Mental Health Awareness Day, the parents stayed after the fair that was at a middle school, and they immediately started to ask more and more questions because they had no clue. They just wanted to help their child. If they're going through this or coming out this way, what does it mean? How can I support them? Right? So there is a lack of awareness, and there's also a thirst to want the knowledge. So we're seeing both. My heart also goes out to the teachers and the school community in general because of everything that is going on every single day, right? Like just the things that have to be on your plate, the things that you have to be aware of at all times. So how can you be present to everything? And by the way, is this important to what's going on? You're trying to teach science, but make sure that the school is safe for your student,
Exactly.
So,
well, they usually end up in my office. Excuse me, this student just mentioned suicide.
Right.
Just leave him right there. So, suicide risk assessment. Yeah, okay. I feel there's definitely a lack of training. I think the schools are doing a little bit more. I do find it, when we have the meetings as counselors or ESC, like there's a lot more mentioning about it. I know the Miami-Dade Public School has a whole department for the LGBTQ plus. I do charter, so it's different, but I definitely try to address it. So I'm happy, and I hope that there's more information to come and more trainings. And, you said there's a lot of thirst. I'm hoping one day we can combine thirst with the need, and then we wouldn't have to have this conversation. Anyways.
Same.
On to the next point. What are some of the effective treatments that you've seen that have helped the youth with suicide or depression, for that matter?
Quite honestly, what treatments help the youth with the suicide? I remember specifically I had a counselor call from an academy, a high school down South Miami. And she called the office with the student in her office. The door was closed and she said, okay, the student is here and identifies as bisexual, queer, is scared of everything going on, and shared with us what happened, was about to be kicked out, just came out, parents super Catholic and Latina. And I thought, wow, what a day for me to receive this call.
Yeah.
Okay, this was meant to happen. So I immediately sat her down. You know, even though it's on the phone, I could hear her and just, hey, can you take a couple of deep breaths? And once we both got present, I shared about who I was, my story. She cried a little bit because all of a sudden I'm not alone. There's someone here who's twice my age, who's been there before and survived. There's someone here who has been there, who understands what I'm going through and is thriving. So be able to see ourselves living and existing and being whole, authentic human beings is one of the best ways to see ourselves as alive.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure your story is amazing as well.
No, thank you.
And
No,
you
that's
are
who we are.
thriving, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I just want to put that out there. You are thriving.
Yeah.
You got it. What about in your experience? What are some of the techniques or therapy theories that have worked?
Definitely therapy and acceptance. So I've seen a lot of kids come through my home over the years that just couldn't be themselves at their homes, right? Whether they had to lie and not be their authentic self, or whether their parents kicked them out. I've had kids sleeping in our guest room that have been thrown out, no money, no insurance, no nothing. And they're just like trying to figure out figure it out. So I think that that accepting your kids for the youth for who they are is the number one thing you can do for suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And then from there getting them the support that they need,
course.
right? The therapists, the medicines, the whatever else that they need. But just seeing your youth for who they are and accepting them, number one thing you can do.
Yeah. I believe that marks a big difference in the suicide risk percentage if your parents accept you or not. And I believe I told that to one of my parents. Same scenario, like religion was in the middle. And I had to say that. I was like, well, I'm sorry to be blunt, but the percentage is higher for suicide when parents don't accept their kids. So I'm not here to tell you what to believe or not, but,
We've had that happen.
you're the parent.
We've been on the phone calls with some of our parents and said, do you want a dead daughter or a son that's alive?
Right.
Yeah. It just comes down to that.
It sounds strong, but someone has to say it, and
I've seen
they get it. Yeah.
Or they
It's just
don't.
a
And that's really the sad side.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've been on so many conversations that
They don't
just,
get it.
And it's like you just want to give that child like the biggest hug and like, what can I do for you? Because that other side, like when they get that, it's when they get it, amazing, right? And like another family is saved, right? But when they don't, is the sadder part.
Yeah. So for those cases that they don't, what are some resources that you guys provide for the youth?
So then what we do for the youth is immediately we go into survival mode in terms of what do they need? Do they need housing? And we go into shelter and we give them referrals to where they can go. Pride Lines has an amazing shelter and they also have a shower there so that you can go to Miami Bridge as well and SunServe in Broward County. So those are the top three.
Okay.
But of course, there are more nationwide. The Trevor Project is a suicide prevention org for youth of the Pride community. So anywhere that you contact and reach out to, they're able to provide at least some sort of housing, for instance.
Okay.
But it does come down to what is the need right now.
Okay. So, and you guys can help the youth coordinate that, or
We do. We
reach
facilitate
out.
that.
Okay. Awesome.
We provide them numbers. We have partners there. We have persons and folks that we work with that we say, here, call this person. And then I usually call them after, did you get this person's name? This, 16-year-old that called? And that happened a couple of months ago. Like, okay, great.
Okay.
And we're all working for them.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
Perfect. Well, if you're listening and you need the extra help, please don't hesitate to reach out. How can we help as a community, or how can a person help within the community to help lower suicide risk or bullying?
So first thing I'll say is the ways that we can help in our community to lower suicide is using pronouns as best as we can. It lowers suicide risk by over 70%.
70%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is major.
That is major.
So when a young person comes up to you and says, today I am going by he, him, great. I'm going to possibly make a mistake because this is new for me and I'm going to try and I'm just going to do it he, him, and I'll practice a couple of times. Or, okay, I don't understand they, them in Spanish, ella. I'm going to try a couple of times. So let me just figure this out.
Okay.
That makes all the difference. And I know, Naomi, you were saying that too with Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's how you can feel seen.
Exactly. Pronouns, that's the number one, especially at the beginning, right? That's the number one thing as a parent you can do for your child is to respect their pronouns and their name, right? So when they do choose a new name or if they do, respecting that. And I can say early on we didn't. It took us a while to accept that it wasn't attention-seeking, right, behavior, and that he really was trans, and because of our ignorance of what that looked like, right? So no, you don't present that way, or I don't think you are. But what would have been the big deal if we would have just respected his wishes early and then he changed his mind? Don't our kids change their mind, right?
Yeah.
You're like, well, what if they're not? What if they are, right?
Yeah.
So if you just respect their pronouns early when they ask for it, and then if it's not what it ends up being, it can change again. So just respect that. It's a big piece.
It's just showing the support from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Regardless of your idea. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's hard as I'm a parent too. I'm not going through that experience, but I can only imagine, like we mentioned, society has put this restraints on tagging and the way we refer to people, that it could be difficult. And I applaud you because you've been going through this for years now.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 18.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So he's an adult.
He's an adult. That's what he thinks he is.
Officially, but not to you, right?
No. He's still my baby.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful conversation. I want to close out with allowing you to give a last message to any of our listeners, any important details about this matter, this subject, or gender identity. Put you on the spot.
What I would say is I would speak to a parent. If if your child comes out, accept them, love them, because they're still the same person, and support them, get the resources you need, educate yourself, and just love your child. So that's what I would say to a parent that has a child that is trans.
Nice. Lovely.
And I guess my message would be more for anyone in the school administration or therapy, medical, mental, whomever comes to you and says who they are, just hear them, accept them, and relate to them how they want to be related to. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Sounds so simple.
It does sound simple.
But it's not. Proven by statistics. Okay, well, thank you so much. I love this conversation. Thanks again for coming. Thank you guys for listening. You can catch us every week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.